Welcome back from the break, everybody who's back. I see Curtis. I see Dave rejoining. I see Shelly Sealing. I see Martine. Hi, Martine. It's kind of fun to be like on a scale where I can see your faces again. It's very hard when you're on the big thing. We are thrilled to be doing something together with our hands. So we invited Mark, helped lead one of the experiments. Mark advised us as we put up the mural boards for that process where we talked about having to be very prescriptive. And then we asked Mark to do something today that he has never done before, based on his awareness of our basic experiment and his awareness of who is coming next. So our next speaker is Annie Murphy Paul, who wrote this fabulous book called The Extended Mind, and he's going to help us bridge what we've done, what we've been talking about, into how we might think about it. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, you bet. Absolutely. I'm very excited to be here. And hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever your time zone is. I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to start just by sharing. Here's the sum total of the play space that we get to inhabit together in a moment. There's not much that you need to know about Mural or any of these tools to participate, but it will require you to lean in a little bit. So some of you might have been listening to all these great presentations this morning and taking notes and kind of being contemplative. This is an opportunity to take some of what you've been exposed to this morning, some of your own creative insights, and then looking at them and kind of co-thinking and extending our minds as we think together. I'm going to zoom in here quickly just to give you some sense of what I'm about. So full transparency, I do work for Mural. I was employee 18, and I've been with the company for over 7 years, pre-pandemic, through the pandemic, and now post-pandemic, where there's back to office and all of these topics that you've been listening and engaging with so far, super relevant. People are trying to figure out, well, how do we work now? We had this forced experiments of working in radically new ways. What do we keep? How do we not retreat into the stuff that we know didn't really work in the past, but we're not really clear on what to do next? And so that's why sessions like this are very important in listening and hearing these struggles and then bring our creativity to bear. So if I had to sum it up, my jams, like the stuff that I really wake up and am super excited about every day, is the potential of human imagination, that in the last 2 years is now really getting confronted with artificial imagination. And what does it mean? What do we keep human? These are all super relevant and something that I actively engage with and seek to understand. Facilitation, I think it's a quintessential skill for everyone, just to have a little bit. You don't need to be an expert facilitator. You don't need to be able to manage 300 people in a hotel ballroom. But everyone is in meetings and everyone has the ability to be a force for good in helping better conversations happen. So I'm pretty passionate about that. And then human-centered design. I was a certified lead instructor with Luma, and I got to work with big corporations and nonprofits and all sorts of entities. And I've just seen the impacts of when you help people structure a conversation in some way that allows that participation, that allows things to be externalized, which Annie Murphy Paul is going to get into, I'm sure, in depth. But this ability to get things out of your head, share it in a space, just leads to amazing, amazing outcomes. So it's helpful just to understand where this moment we have together fits in the context of your day so far. So you got up, you saw a bunch of wonderful presentations, and now we're here right now, and we're actually going to spend some time reflecting on what you've seen. So it's less about anything I have to say. In fact, it's nothing. I mean, very, very little, about 1% of what I have to say. Mostly, this is an opportunity for you to get present to what you're thinking and then share it. And that is going to queue up beautifully for Annie Murphy Paul, who's coming next. Elise and David shared this wonderful document. You'll have access to this mural. And so these things, you see these little rich snippets here with an image and a link. You'll have access to some resources that I thought might be helpful. And I really appreciated this article, Elise, and it really helped me understand how to incorporate these new things. But this is a session where really it's not just about showing up. It's not just about being in the room. And it's not a little bit more than just, participating, nodding, smiling, making a chat comment, maybe one way contributing, throwing stuff out there. But now we're going to step it up to a thing where you really not only throw stuff into the conversation, but you're working with it and you're going to end up in a different place because of that collaboration. And we're going to be joining together using this link. I'm going to go into the chat, and I think I have it ready to go to drop in there. And you shouldn't need to sign up for anything. You should be able to drop directly into the space. Oh, wonderful. You've shared it already. Great. So I'm going to give you a very quick orientation to what you're seeing. So when you show up in Mural, you'll notice that there's some toolbars kind of across the top and down the side. And at the bottom, you're going to see a bar, and those are a bunch of avatars. Some of you might have Mural accounts, therefore you're showing up and you have a picture of your face. It's because you've authenticated and we know you are. Some of you have no relationship with Mural, but we still want you to play. And so you might show up as an anonymous animal. And there are different themes. There's music and other things to make it playful, but I chose the animal theme here. So you might show up as the visiting hippopotamus, and we have a lion and we have a bird. Your avatar is always going to be the first one all the way to the left. All right. And everyone else will kind of trail off to the right, and you can see them as they go. Along the left-hand side, you'll see there's a bar and it has some icons. The first one is like a sticky note, and then we have some text objects and things. You may or may not need these when we get into the breakout session. For the more adventurous, feel free to experiment there, but you won't have to do too much with that toolbar in the session. Other than that, you'll notice my avatar has a special star next to it. That's because I have some extra powers as a facilitator. And one of them is the power to summon you. So I'm going to click summon, and anyone who's in Mural suddenly is going to see what I see. And so this is kind of like the teacher in the classroom saying, okay, all eyes on me, right? But I can release you, or you can also just scroll away if you need to. But this allows me to bring us to our first activity together, which is to capture some of these aha moments. So what do we mean by an aha moment? Like sometimes you see like the light bulb appear above someone's head, right? In many cases, it's not necessarily you're having a new idea, but suddenly you hear something, you see something, you feel something, you sense something, and some new neural connection happens. There's some new insight you have that's a little more profound than the moment before it or the moment after it. And so this is an opportunity for us to take a moment together and to add an aha moment to this thing. All you have to do is double click on it and start typing with your keyboard. And to help extend your mind and offload some of this cognitive load, you've seen a lot of activities. So I thought, well, I'll just put the names down here and I'll put the titles. So you'll see I have working space for each one of these. And maybe that'll gently kind of knock loose a memory that was hidden from you momentarily, but then you see the title and you go, oh yeah, I heard this thing. So we'll just take a couple minutes here, and I'll give us about 5 minutes on the timer. And then I just invite people, you can think, look at the title, think for a moment, but don't think too long. As soon as an aha occurs to you, that thing, that insight, do put it, and you don't have to put it right in the row. It might be useful, might be helpful even as feedback to the other speakers if they were able to see, oh, people had that aha from my thing. That's great positive reinforcement back to the speakers who've come before. Say like those points are landing, those points are relevant. So just as you're working, I'll call out a few things that I'm seeing here. So from Megan's presentation, we've seen some things like without data, it's difficult to get the people to want to change, right? Some people need that data to be convinced. We have the camels in the Netherlands. This is going to be interesting. Not having seen it, I'm going to watch the videos, but not having seen it, it makes me very curious to wonder more and more about what's behind that insight. Workplace rituals, okay. Breakout rooms, always a welcome respite. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it is nice in these big, and we're going to use breakout rooms in a bit. You'll get into these more intimate sessions, little clusters where you're not on stage trying to make the most impact on everyone's time. You can be in a little less lower stakes session just with a couple people and kind of warming up and getting those conversations going. Yeah, for sure. How to build human machine collaborations. I was really curious about going back and watching that one. Yeah. Trust is a key issue and how machine bias fools us. Yeah, there's a lot of that. I'm astounded at people that are really intimate with the AI tools you're developing. They can almost just instantly sense again, oh, well, now it's just hallucinating, right? And I was reading what it was saying, and I was fully willing to just suck it up and go, oh, that was interesting. I didn't know that. And they're like, no, 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 no. It's hallucinating now. It doesn't know that. And I'm like, well, therein lies a conundrum. I didn't know it was making it up. So yeah, and if you run out of space, you can always just double click, add another note, feel free. And if you've kind of exhausted your own personal ahas, I invite you to scroll around the mural, take a look at some other people's ahas and um, appreciate them, be reminded of them, but that might also kick loose another thing that you want to capture. And if I zoom out, just even as a heat map, it looks like, a very engaging morning. I'm almost wondering if the work meetings I attended were all that much more valuable than being here in your sessions, Elise. I think I could have done more benefit to Mural to dig into these conversations than the stand-ups and other rituals that were happening. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say that's good. If something occurs to you, always feel free to go back and capture it, right? So this is not a hard and fast thing, but as an activity, I did want you to just notice one, how many moments of insight that you've had so far today, and then collectively, when you have a space to share them all together, combined, that's a lot of new thinking happening that's being sparked by some intention in the conversations that we're having. Now, I want you to think about one of the ahas. It's probably one that you had yourself, but maybe in looking through those notes, there's another one that really resonates with you. And now I'm going to again summon you. Pardon me while I grab your attention and nudge it a little bit. But now what I want to do is introduce a concept that kind of comes from our next speaker's work, and it's this notion that while we have traditionally thought of the human mind as like a computer and all of our thinking happens inside our skull, we're actually conditionally cognitive, right? So if you're very tired. Computers don't care if they've been working for 5 minutes or they've been on for 12 weeks. They don't care if they're by a window. To use words directly out of her book, I loved it. They don't care if they're by a window or they're locked in a basement. They will process things the same way, and humans are not that way. So what we want to do is take one of these aha moments and connect it in some immediate way to the space you're in. So the first thing I want you to do is just notice the space around you. Like, where are you right now? Is it inside or is it outside? I'm often jealous of when I talk to some of my friends in Buenos Aires because they're out on kind of a lanai and it's warm. And I'm like, well, no, I'm in Oregon and it's freezing, right? Um, so, yeah, the temperature, is it warm or is it cold? Is it bright or is it dimly lit? And are you alone or are you with people? Now, take this aha moment that you've had And I want you to look around and find an object that's within 3 feet, 1 meter of where you're sitting that you can in some way relate to that aha that you had. Right? So usually around us, if you're like me, you've got a few personal objects, but mostly stacks of messy papers and old sticky notes and way too many coffee cups filled with pens and pencils and that kind of thing. But look around and just find an object that somehow relates to an insight that you had. I'm going to borrow someone else's insight since I didn't see them and see. Ah, yeah, there's one. Okay. Okay. So now, has everyone got your aha and you've got your object? Maybe if it's too big, you can't lift, you can at least put your finger on it and touch it. Now, I want you to think about the relationship that you have, that you've made in your head between this insight and this object. Does the object, does it positively support it? Is it something that you say, like in my case, I found a timer and I was thinking about team rituals, which was an insight that someone had. And I don't know exactly what their insight was, but it reminded me about the importance of rituals, not as a habit thing you just do out of habit. It's very different. It's something that actually has repeatable things, but you do it with intention. And this timer for me is a way for us to allow for that while time boxing it so it doesn't take over the agenda. So in my case, this is a thing that positively reinforces my ability to do those rituals. But this object could easily have a negative association. It could be a nagging reminder that, like my stacks of unsorted paper. It's like, well, yeah, that having a culture of documentation or something that really helps the team go is not benefited by me having stacks of things that only I know how they're sorted, right? Or maybe this object, you made this really interesting connection that you don't fully understand. And maybe you're looking at this object as though you're seeing it for the first time, and it's representing some new possibility for you. So now I'd love to hear maybe a brave volunteer or two that would come off mute and let us know. So what was the object and how does it relate to an insight or an aha that you had? And this is a facilitator trick, by the way. You let the uncomfortable silence hang until someone can't stand it and they'll come off mute and they'll say something and be brave. There are no right or wrong answers here. So
So I'll do it.
Martha, my hero, thank you.
I was thinking how I'm going to connect this with the people I have with the things I have around here. My aha was this use of AI with these explore versus exploit principles, and the thing that I thought was maybe to take the bottle in which I have water here and the cup in which I put the water. So I explore and I have the possibility of many cups that I could have. And then in just certain moment in this context, I have a cup of water. So that was my way of connecting that.
I love that. I have genuine goosebumps here because I love that thing you've probably brought to work every day. Suddenly I thought, yes, the possibility of all that you could do with what's in this bottle and the choice of cups and how much we are on kind of autopilot. And now all of a sudden you get present to being intentional about the relationship of with those things. Love that. Thank you, Marta. Thank you.
Welcome.
How about someone else?
I don't mind.
Oh, Martine, thank you.
Yes. I don't know what the name of this animal is in English. It's an egel in Dutch. Can you see it?
Let's see. Oh, is it a mouse or a
No,
rat? I don't know.
it has spikes on the back.
Porcupine? Hedgehog?
Porcupine. Porcupine?
Okay.
Okay.
Well, the thing is, what struck me quite the most is that there are so many groups that have the same idea, and the groups that came to with new ideas, that it was related to the background mostly. And the connection to the animal I have is that I'm in area development and urban planning. And then when you look through the eyes of an animal like this to the city, that you really see new things. So that was the connection.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, we've had inclement weather here in the Pacific Northwest. The Arctic blast has been doing things, and I think about, native cultures that have been on the lands for thousands and thousands of years, and people say, oh, it's like they had 20 senses or 400 senses, or the Egyptians had 600 senses. And I'm like, well, since we moved here, the birds have given me a new sense, because I can tell when their behavior changes. Like, they were draining the feeders as fast as we could fill them 48 hours before the bad weather hit. And then when the bad weather really was upon them, they stopped their kind of petty arguing, and they were hanging out in the trees. Types of birds we had never seen in proximity to each other, they were all hanging out and taking turns and being very collaborative. So it is through the eyes of animals that sometimes, through millions of years of evolution, see things much clearer than we do about what's important at any given moment. I love that notion. Thank you, Martine. One more, maybe?
I can give it a try.
Oh, thank you, Andres.
Okay. My reaction, but I don't know kind of if you love, but forgive me, it's 10 past 10 past 10 in Germany, in Hamburg, where I'm calling you then.
Yes.
And basically, I'm reacting to the practitioner's fishbowl we had earlier today. And my basically learning or aha moment was about I really was surprised by the division between practitioner and research, or practice and theory and things like that. And I think we need to overcome. And my object was basically my Oscar with what I'm working. If I have difficult situations which I need to solve, and where I need to overcome divides between me, who has been a researcher for a long time, then basically a teacher, and now I was working with with Open Society Foundation, and now moving out to the field of facilitation. And often you need such kind of icebreakers or funny figures who help you in opening the space, in restructuring this whole divide thing, because on a very scientific level, I would fundamentally disagree with certain assumptions. And there is no divide between practice and theory, and practice and research and things like that. So that's kind of basically what I was thinking of.
Well, not to date myself, but the year I was born was the year Sesame Street went on the air for the first time in 1968. And so I grew up really understanding and appreciating the world around me through the generosity of those programs that allowed me to be a kid, and and not see the lines between things, but more see the commonality between things. So I appreciate that very much. If anyone is looking for someone similar who's I think one of the most creative minds I've run across on YouTube, you'll find this tinkerer and this hobbyist. I think he's in North or South Carolina, but it's Craftsman. Sometimes you think C-R-A-F-T, but there's no T. It's C-R-A-F-S-M-A-N. And his channel is called Steady Crafting. And he uses a hand puppet, because he realized from people that went before, there's this fine line between being a personality in the public view, and that kind of can get in the way. Like people start trying to figure out, where do you live and where's that cool thing? And then you've got this shop with all these rare Star Wars toys or something. So he uses it as a puppet, but more than just a way to keep a little bit of a distance. He has this dialogue in many ways. And I think through the puppet, he's able to get over some of his own personal issues of isolation, loneliness, and anxiety, general anxiety disorder, and stuff that we certainly saw the volume get turned up during the pandemic. So anyway, I'll just throw that out there as I think Andreas in particular, you may really appreciate, and it's very family friendly and you know, and upbeat. Okay. I don't want to cut anyone off, but I think those are some really wonderful kind of lateral thinking, just letting your brain kind of go in neutral for a second and see things and build relationships. And that certainly is something where humans have an advantage, taking all of our experience, lived experience, empathetic experience. So once again, in Mural, I'm just going to summon everyone again, because we're going to slowly nudge over into the next step. And this is where we're going to invoke our imagination, right? So imagination is this infinite resource. We have access to it 24/7. And sometimes we don't really fully appreciate it, or we think we have to buy our solutions or buy our creativity or buy our entertainment. But really practicing using your imagination is a super useful activity. So now I want you thinking about these insights, thinking about these ways in which things relate. I want you to take a moment, and I want you to now imagine yourself as your absolute best self, just whatever that means for you. So whatever it is about you being fully in charge, fully motivated, whatever words come to mind, imagining yourself at your absolute best. And now imagine you as a person kind of at their peak and they're most ready to take action. Now imagine that you're doing the most purposeful and impactful work of your life. So like the Japanese concept of ikigai, right? It's what you're good at. It's what the world needs. It's what you enjoy doing, and it's something that where you can participate and get compensated for it as well. Those things in balance really are what I'm talking about. And now I'd like you to just, what do you notice? Is this person you are and this work you're doing in these spaces you're in, is it inside or is it outside? Is it warm or is it cold? Right? Is it bright or is it dimly lit? Are you alone or are you with others? And invoke your senses. Like, what is it that you see? What are you hearing? What do you feel? What might you be smelling? And then what are you possibly tasting? Just kind of dwell in that for a second. So really steeps like a good cup of tea. You're like, I'm pretty clear on this, me at my best doing this great work, what that looks like, smells like. And now we're going to go into breakout groups. And we're going to have discussions in smaller, more kind of intimate settings. And when you join the breakout group, please introduce yourself. And then take turns sharing with each person what you noticed when you were imagining this really optimal you in an optimal space doing optimal work. And I have some prompts there, because I think when I was practicing this before running it today, it was really interesting to notice how it differed from where I am right now. So when I looked at my current state and I thought about what's around me and I grabbed this object and everything, and then I imagined this other thing, there are some areas that were pretty close, but there are some other areas where there's a huge delta. And that's another wonderful insight, just becoming present to how the things around you, the spaces around you, the temperature, you as a human being, not a computer, a robot, an automaton, but you as a human, imagine this optimal space and optimal way of being. And so share, introduce yourself and share, have a discussion about that stuff. Be a little vulnerable. If it seems a little quirky, it's okay. We're in a safe space with each other. And then be prepared when we come back to plenary. Consider sharing some of the things that your groups have committed to do, right? So what might you do as a result of seeing the difference between where you are and where your amazing imagination might take you? What are some things that you could do to actually impact that? And I want to pause here and say, are there any questions? Anything unclear before we whisk you away into breakout groups? If not, I think I'm looking for how many people do we have at this current point? I think we want to get it to like 3 or 4 per group. So if we have 14, we could do 2 with 3 and 2 with 4. Does that work?
Hey, Mark, I've got it set up. 2 groups of 4, 1 group of 3.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Okay. So go into your breakout group. You have the mural in front of you for reference, so you can, I'm going to release everyone. So if you need to kind of scoot around or go remind yourself about your insights, or you need some of these prompts to help with your discussion, they're there for you. And then we'll come back in about, let's do 5, 10, about 15 minutes. So we'll have a good 15-minute discussion with everyone together.
Okay, off you all go.
You bet. Thank you very much.
Cool. I set up the room so that there were at least 2 people with their videos on in each room.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That's a total pro maneuver right there.
Easy when there's not, 300 people.
Exactly. Well, I'd love so when we come back, I have an opportunity to attenuate. Is there anything about, tactical stuff? You can hear me okay? You can see me okay? Mural sharing okay? Okay.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Okay.
It's really brilliant, yeah.
Okay, cool. I just want, and is there the pace? I have a time timer in front of me, and I'm like, oh, we're all right. Welcome back, everyone. How are we feeling? Was that, I'm guessing, I didn't hop through the rooms. I wanted to give you your space, but I'm assuming I see some thumbs up. There was some good discussion. Awesome. Well, I'd love to invite some folks maybe to come off mute and share a little bit. What were the things that you noticed? What were some of the insights or things that just bubbled up in discussion?
I'll start, Mark.
Thanks, Curtis. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. We didn't have time to do a full kind of round the room, but we quickly worked with Stuart, because what he said kind of broke our heart open, because he said, I'm having a hard time imagining my highest, best, most on impactful self. And I think we all related to that. Yeah. And Stuart, I don't want to speak for you. Feel free to jump on too. But I think Shelly and I we put on our coaching hat. We're just, oh, Mark, I want to give him a big hug. Just
totally. It's going to be okay.
So it's a bit of a therapy session.
Yeah, it was kind of, but hopefully a good one, Stuart.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Thank you for sharing, Curtis. And that's that alone is a profound insight. It's like, wow, I've been taking care of my boss and my team and my everything else, and I don't. Yeah, I've filled a lot of other people's shoes in my career. It wasn't until I'm kind of doing what I'm doing now where I said, I think I'm going to buy my own pair of shoes that fit really well, that are comfortable, that are for the terrain I want to go walk on. It's tough. Yeah. Someone else, what's something else that bubbled up?
Hey, Mark, this is David. We all wanted space. I think we all envisioned ourselves, maybe not always in a big space. We talked about wanting to have whiteboards, but there was certainly an element of I was in a big workshop, or I was at a big whiteboard. I had this freedom to move around, to ideate, not to always be right, but um, to work on to go through the process on and document and write things and forget about them and move over to another space and have my materials and all the things that I wanted to create.
Yeah. I'm just curious, David, are you a stacker? Like, do you have stacks that mean things to you in your spaces? Like stacks of paper or space, like spatial memory is a huge part of, like, I'm going to work on this and pause it there, but I can go to somewhere else, and like the sewing machine is here and my arc welders over here, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I do have. I like to have my things have spaces.
Yeah.
Or stacks, I suppose, if it's paper. But yeah, putting an idea somewhere. I mean, this is definitely extended mind territory.
Yeah.
Right? I like to get my brain up on the wall.
Completely. Yeah. Get it outside so I can see it. There's that. I remember in high school, I had a book, Rapid Viz, and it talks about the drawing cycle. And it was a simple little sketch of this cartoony character looking at the piece of paper, and the hand is drawing on the paper. And what you do is you create this loop where your eyes are seeing the thing your hand is writing. And you create this really interesting feedback loop where instead of watching a video or something that someone else created, you're actually responding to the thing that you're doing. And so you're actually negotiating and changing what's possible because you're seeing the input of what you're drawing. And externalizing work and getting it up on the wall is the same type of thing at scale, yeah. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah.
Someone else.
I would say, yeah.
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Yeah, I would say we had a little bit of a theme in which we have different situations in which we saw ourselves in with purpose, and it was the thing in which we were making a big impact, and the other side getting nourished. And then we got into the lines, how we got to the place where we get, and we had a very nice conversation about philosophies, about how to deal with the things in life and everything. It was a really nice conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, ladies. Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say, in your agenda daily calendar, you usually don't have philosophical conversation about how I can be happier in my work. It's like that usually isn't on the task of things to do. So
yeah,
wonderful. I'm glad you took the time to do that. Anyone else?
I have a new insight for me.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah.
When you had us meditate on our best self, I realized I was in beautiful places, like with thick Italian walls, these castles I work in Germany. And then like one thing in common was they all have big wooden floors and spaciousness, as David said, to put the ideas on the wall and to move among people. And then when you invited us to come back to where we are now, it's a very small home I'm in. And then working with Stuart, he said he's feeling depleted in his little small space. He's not out in nature enough. And I realized even when I'm working from here, this small space at home, I go into my garden, I'm on the phone coaching, and I'm moving physically. And I don't think I'd ever been conscious of that. And it made me aware, one, my object was this amaryllis, that we, to symbolize the workplaces, that it wants to grow toward the sun. Yeah. And we want workplaces that are like the sun that we want to grow toward, or the Knoll woman who said, we want to design places that are more beautiful than your home. Sure. So it just motivated me to find places in my little town in Oregon Oh, I know where a dance studio space is. I know where there's a retreat in the woods, and I know those people. Why I need to be using those places.
Absolutely. Well, Oregon. Well, if you find them, please let me know because I'm just in Wilsonville. I'm very close to you.
Well, we'll talk. We'll talk.
We'll talk. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Shelley, and everyone who shared. And I know there were even more connections and more wonderful discussions that happened. I do want to kind of nudge us a little bit further from that moment of insight to think about that insight without action is worthless. Not to put too fine of a point on it, but the opportunity here is to actually do something about it. And so I'd love to hear if anyone, like Shelley shared a little bit about, well, finding these places or even getting present to the time I'm in the garden, instead of it being like a subconscious escape from an office space into something, being intentional and saying, I'm going to go out there and really be present in the garden. It's just, I'm not going there because it isn't my workspace or close to my computer. I'm going there with intention. I'd love to hear from one or two people, what is even a small thing that you could commit to and say, yeah, this is something I'm going to do to get me closer to my best self, doing my best work.
Are you asking for a response?
Yeah, no, yeah, I'd love to hear one thing that you might commit to. Someone could say, it may be small, but I'm going to do this. I commit to doing this.
Well, one thing that I try to do every day is to set an intention to be the best I can be for the day, and to have create a high vibration for myself, so connected to my heart and to joy. And if I'm not feeling those things, check in, bring myself back into that. And so I see this as being a daily practice.
Yeah, you're talking to a fledgling meditator. Just in the last 3 months have I started a regular meditation practice. And it's not about just being happy all the time. It's about actually creating some space and being with whatever's there. And sometimes we do a lot of escaping or running away or moving into something else, as opposed to even checking in and understanding where are we right now and what might we need now. We don't need it every day and forever, but certainly it would benefit us right now and move us into a space where maybe we don't need that anymore and we can be, tuned in at that level. Wow.
Exactly. So I try to check in 3 or 4 times during the day. Am I in the right space?
Yeah.
Or have I gone off the rails? And come back into the present and into what I can do that is the right thing to do in that moment.
That's right. Yeah, really embracing the now. And I'm sure your family appreciates it, your friends appreciate it, your clients appreciate it. Well, I wanted to direct your attention. You have access to this mural. There's some interesting articles that came up as I was reading Annie's book. There's a woman who just has spent 500 days in a cave, and I was thinking about, wow, talking about space and how that might affect you. I found an article on an artist who has built a camera that takes one picture over the course of 1,000 years. And when you read the article, it's interesting because it's less about the artifact, because none of us will be alive to see the artifact, but it's imagining what do we think it will take a picture of, and an invitation to say, we all want to go apocalyptic, but that doesn't have to be the case. There's possibility to imagine something very different. Anyway, and then some cool desk gear, interesting stuff that I thought I should have links in there to all of Miller Knowles stuff and Logitech stuff, and I mean that's all great stuff too. Before we part, just in the chat, I do a thing every session. I do is I ask for feedback, and I have a little button on my Stream Deck here. And when I push it, it's going to spit some text into the chat. And what I would be very appreciative of are just 2 pieces of data, a number from 1 to 10. Like 1 is what a miserable waste of time, Mark. I'll never get this hour of my life back. 10 is towards the other end. I got something useful out of this. But then just a sentence why. If there was something that really resonated, let me know what it is so I can continue to do it if this type of session comes up again. But if there's something that was missing or an opportunity or some other kind of glitch or thing that kind of kept it from being awesome, just let me know what it is. I'd appreciate that very much. And with that, I will thank you all for leaning in. You were absolutely collaborative and went all the way to the top of Elise's scale and David's scale. And I'm going to hang around because I am thrilled to hear what Annie is going to share with us.
Thanks, Mark.
You bet.
We're going to take just a really tight 2 just to freshen your coffee, get a stretch in, and then we're going to come back. Hi, Annie. And we're going to hear from Annie Murphy-Paul. So 2 minutes. It'll be 2 after the hour.